Hello, everyone. I'm Kim. This is Ramblings with Kim. Did not expect to come to you today, but as I often do, I find a topic and I find something to ramble about. Today, I had hoped that I wouldn't. I hadn't been feeling all that well, and I had been laughing hysterically at Allison Cush and her husband, Isaac Cush, or as some may know him, Isaac Rochelle. And they are the funniest thing on the internet, and my favorite NFL couple. And then I heard about BYU and Duke. Now, I have two daughters that live in Salt Lake City. One whose boyfriend played for the University of Utah football team. I was concerned when they went there. As you can tell, I am pale white. Both my daughters are pale white. My daughter's boyfriend, who went to play football there, is not. And we are very much an interracial family. My son's boyfriend, or girlfriend, excuse me, is gorgeous. She's Asian. My youngest daughter's boyfriend is Hispanic, and then my daughter's boyfriend is half black and half Filipino. So we have quite a blend going on in our family, and I'm very, very, very proud of it. We should not have to speak about this again, but we do, over and over and over and over again. It appears that our last, whatever you want to call it, before Biden, brought out the ugliest in our country. And I have my glasses on for a reason, because that reason is BYU. This is specific even more to BYU than it is to Bomber Rush TikTok. Now, Alabama, you can come after me. Bring it on. My husband's from Mississippi. Yes, I understand. Alabama has had their own reckoning with their sororities and their racial integration or segregation. And I hear they're trying to do better. I haven't seen much of it, but we'll continue to pray for you all down in Alabama while you undergo this amazing flood that is somewhat biblical in proportion. BYU, on the other hand, smack dab in the middle of Salt Lake City, which was founded, I believe, by Joseph Smith. Now, is Joseph Smith? I, on the other hand, spent over 45 years studying the Holocaust and not Mormonism. Would that be what it's called? I do know just enough to make me dangerous, but you're more than welcome to talk about me in the comments or educate me. I'm always willing to be educated. However, I do know that 98% of BYU are Mormons because, of course, Brigham Young University is in Salt Lake City and was created for Mormons, kind of like Notre Dame was created for Catholics. And that somewhat makes sense, but I don't know. I grew up Catholic. I don't remember, and maybe there is something in there where we would discriminate against blacks. It doesn't make any sense to me. I have never been someone who has discriminated against anyone in my life, and maybe that's why I never and still do not fit in with anyone from my hometown. As much as I would like to call some people my friends, there it doesn't work. My family at all, I do not get along with because of these things. So, anyways, BYU is 98% Mormon. They are they they have 0.38% of their student population is Black. Now, I was doing some research here. On the ground floor of the Joseph Smith building are the golden tablets that he saw and found that created this new church of his. On the next floor are the paintings that depict the Lemonites. Now, I have not gone to BYU as many times as I've visited my daughter there, or not BYU, but in Salt Lake City, because I have no interest in anything except for making my own version of Religulous, which I'll probably get copyrighted on. Sorry, Bill Maher, but I thought it was fairly hilarious myself. So the Lemonites are the tribe in Mormon scripture that bears dark skin as a sign of God's curse. Yes, they're still there. Those paintings are still there. So with this BYU Duke volleyball game, as you should all be aware right now, I'm just assuming you are, and I shouldn't do that. I'm old enough to remember The Odd Couple, and if you assume, you make an ass out of you and me. It's apparently there was one white man, who was continuously yelling the N-word at one Black female on the Duke volleyball team, who was a standout player. And apparently no one had the courage to stand up to him. And apparently no one heard him say anything the entire time. Now I'm going to call bullshit. That's just complete and total bullshit. There was no one that had the courage to stand up for him. And there is probably no one who thought, in this day and age of cell phones and social media and anything else that you may come across, that thought that this might not go viral and that BYU was going to have a come to Jesus moment, right? Where they were going to have to stand up and say, yeah, you know what? We were wrong. We should have done something. We're going to get sued, so we better apologize beforehand. They don't care. They really, truly don't care. The Mormon Church only allowed Black men into the priesthood, which, if you don't know much about Mormonism, in order to get to this higher level of magic underwearism, I guess now I'm making fun of religion. I don't really care much for religion. Men have to be in the priesthood. Well, Black men were not allowed to be in the priesthood. I believe it was not until 1978. And until this day, they still do not feel comfortable because of this. Now, let me get back to this because I believe it was Brigham Young who enthusiastically supported slavery in Utah. He enthusiastically supported a ban of blacks in the church. He decreed the mark of Cain was the flat nose and black skin. And Young urged immediate death to anyone who participated in an interracial marriage. Yes, that was a long time ago, and we all had all this craziness. I did not even know that Oregon had redlining sundown towns. We had, I think we were even like a sundown state for a while, that you literally had to drive through the state in under 24 hours. You weren't allowed to stay the night. I mean, there were the really horrible things, and I had no idea. I grew up there. My grandfather played professional baseball. He played basketball in college, and he was very much for equal rights all the time. And he would point out and say, there's no reason to keep Black people from not participating in any league whatsoever. And he would go back, and even though, I was, okay, yes, I'm 55. So I was born in 1967. So he's talking to me about, baseball and softball and basketball and things like this when I'm like, 6, 7, 8, and I'm really getting involved in all of this. And he's talking to me back to like the Chicago 7 and Mickey Mantle and, Jackie Robinson, and telling me that, that was really wrong the way they treated these individuals, these Black people. And I'm like, you're right, Grandpa. I don't understand. Why did they do that? And at the same time, my father's telling me Italian jokes because I'm part Italian and my mother's half Italian, and we're just going along with it. So we all have it in us, but this has got to stop. This has really got to stop. When are we going to stand up and say no more? I interviewed Colton Montgomery, and I told him, I said, I feel like we've left the country on fire, and now we've told all these young people, you got to put out this fire because we're old, and we've just left this dumpster fire here for you all to deal with. And what are you all going to do about it? And that's not right. That's not fair to you. That's not fair to you as athletes. Now, I know at my high school, we had, I can't even say how many Black kids that I went to high school with. I know that I played soccer with one young Black girl or woman who was extremely talented and just blew me away. And to think that someone would have said that about her, I remember being at a track meet when I was in 8th grade, and someone was making fun of a kid's curly hair who was doing the high jump. And there were all these adults standing around, and kid was just constantly just making fun of him. And I finally looked at the kid and said, shut up and let him jump. What are you doing? What's your problem? None of the adults would say it. I mean, I didn't care. I never cared what people thought of me, as you can tell by my podcast. I still don't care. I'm going to stand up for what's right. And this is wrong. And I'm sorry, BYU. Actually, I'm not sorry, BYU. You're too late. You're too friggin' late. The coach should have said something. The fans should have said something. Instead of putting a security person to sit next to him, the security person should have escorted that guy out and locked the doors behind him, and he should have been banned from your campus for the rest of his life. That is the only thing that is appropriate. But you're not doing that. Instead, you come out and you apologize and you talk to the young woman and you say you're sorry, and then you go on Twitter and you say you're sorry and you should have dealt with it better. That's not good enough anymore. It's not good enough. And no one should take it. No one should. And if you go to BYU and you're a student there and you sat by and you watched this man do that, you do not deserve to wear your friggin' magic underwear or live on one of your planets or be on your priesthood or do whatever it is that you all do in your very secretive religion. And I would say that about any religion. If you cannot live up to the ideals of Jesus Christ or God, or be respectful to one another or to another human being, then you don't deserve to participate in any religion whatsoever. Because isn't that what religion is all about? You are supposed to be respectful to everyone. Everyone. You treat people equally. Isn't that what's being taught? That's what's being taught. And if you can't live up to those ideals, then you need to get out of whatever church, religion, or anything else. You don't even get to call yourself an atheist. You just get to call yourself a very hateful person without a heart. Now, I'm going to end it, and I'm going to hope that everyone thinks twice about this. And yes, maybe there are some things I shouldn't have said about Mormons that in the heat of the moment, I'm truly sorry for. That I'm an adult and I shouldn't have said it. But you need to stop messing with minorities just because you're white. because one of these days, this woman is going to have minorities who are her grandchildren. And you're not going to want to mess with this person then. So this is Kim with Ramblings with Kim. And I all hope that you think about this and you come to better decisions in your life next time. Goodbye.